Okay, good evening. It's 7 p.m. Over here in the States, and today is The Conversation, Outspoken and Opinionated. Of course, I'm your host, Edwin Maya. I have an amazing person for you guys today. Those who've been watching our social media pages, you've seen we have been advertising, so I want you guys to come in. Let's have a great conversation. This is somebody I respect, I admire, and over the couple of years, I tend to follow all the time. And so I want you guys to join me as we welcome Barkue.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you. I don't know why. Hold on. I don't let me see. Maybe I'll put my headphones in. Okay, I gotta find headphones. That might work better. I know StreamYard likes headphones.
Yep.
Let me see if I can find headphones.
Guys, this is what happened. You guys What happened? So this is the show.
I'm trying to be cute. Sometimes the headphones work better with StreamYard.
And we do because we can hear you great. Can you hear me now?
Working?
Yep, we can hear you.
No, I still can't hear you. That's so crazy. We were just talking.
And I can hear you, but we
technology. Hold on. Mic is on. Camera mic, audio, iPhone. It says it can hear me. I mean, moving like it's
I can hear you.
Automatically adjust mic. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. So weird because I like the thing is going up and down like that green thing.
Yeah.
But I can't hear you.
Okay, so I'm gonna take you out and then let's bring you back in and see what happens.
Hang up. Let me hang up and then come back in.
Exactly.
I hang up and then come back in.
Okay, cool. Okay, guys. So today's show basically is with Barkue. I think a lot of us know Barkue from Barkue Tubman, Miss Boss Lady, all the ventures that she has. But today I really want to talk to her about Barkue the person. I think we can all do this. This is going to be great.
I can hear you.
And she's back.
And I can hear you.
I told you guys this is what happens. This is live. This is what happens all the time. So it's not even a problem. But so you were here. I'm going first, I wish if we were in the studio, I would be like bowing because this is amazing because it's like 11 o'clock in Liberia and you're here and I'm so excited and I appreciate you. But from us to you, we want to send you so much love and we know this is amazing.
Thank you.
So, I just was telling the people that I'm just excited to be with the original boss lady. Because if people don't know, you are the original boss lady. But I want to tell you something. So there's a little gossip. So there's a little gossip that happened here. So when we posted flyer, I got a text message from one of my cousins saying, "Oh, so this is what it is. It's gonna be Tubman and Barkley." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because my mom is President Barkley's daughter. And then so I was like, "Y'all need to stop that gossip. Y'all stop that right now. I ain't got nothing to do with this. It's just so happened that we met each other. We know each other. So y'all don't do that." So that's a little gossip in my family group chat. That's what they're talking right now. Yeah, sure.
You gonna do it.
Yeah, I'm like, but you know what? I just go straight in there. I just want just tell the people how you doing. How's everything with you?
I'm great. I'm great. I have so many amazing things happening. Mm-hmm. You know this, Edwin. You are a real friend and supporter, and hence why I will stay up for 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m. for you.
Did y'all hear that?
You walk the walk, and from the first time I met you were a harasser, and I was like, oh my God, I just love him. So showing up for you is never a problem for me. I'm great. I have the MBL. Remember? Well, I do the show Conversations with Boss Ladies.
Yes.
You're.
And by the way, that was amazing today.
Thank you. It's amazing.
That was
Topeka was incredible.
Super amazing.
And Conversations is our first cousin, so you're our first cousin. So I started doing the show during the pandemic and wanted to just from everybody's feedback, wanted to do something that was just on a larger platform or in a way to connect our voices, for African women in Africa and diaspora, just sort of connecting us together, talking about how we navigated, COVID and this new reality or the new normal. And I created the Boss Lady Effect Summit because the Boss Lady Effect is actually my nonprofit. Where it's actually my nonprofit. We're actually launching a new program. We had programs before. We actually changed the name. We have programs before where we partner with Black Girls Rock. I've had Liberian girls go to the Black Girls Rock camp. We have a student contractor program where we create opportunities for students in Liberia to experience an alternative career opportunities through programs and work that we do. And the goal is to also, create a global network of boss ladies. So one of the two things that we do is we change the world one boss girl at a time, because we're reaching back to the new generation, the next generation, making sure we equip them to understand, their value. We start in underserved communities in Liberia, and then we also create the network, which is where we grow our network to grow our net worth. But in doing so, we must change the world one boss girl at a time. So we're actually launching a new program that I'm really excited about. It's called I Am Legacy. It's really to speak to young girls, and no matter where they find themselves, to know that legacy starts with them. Regardless of being a Tubman or Berkeley, legacy starts with you. God bless the child that has her own. That's
Oh yeah, that's my mom saying right there.
So that's what it is. And so we have the summit, the Boss Lady Effect, is the and so part of the conversations was about connecting women to build this global network of boss ladies. And so I created the Boss Lady Effect Summit. And Essence, I've now since partnered with Essence. We came together, same idea. They have a huge platform, bigger amplification. And so now it's now the Essence I Am Speaking Summit. So everybody, it's airing on essencestudios.com and essence.com on May 6th at 5 p.m. Eastern and 9 p.m. GMT. So keep following Essence and my platform to see how you get free passes. And I'm really excited. We have Madame Sirleaf, we have the CEO of Shea Moisture, we have the CEO of Essence, we have Valerie who owns R&R Luxury. We have Nicole, who was the creator of An African City. We have Jocelyn Dumas, award-winning actress. We have Wade Powell, CEO of Shremex. I mean, we bringing it in. I'm pulling these women.
And I would say that because that is why I'm so drawn to you, because I feel it's not just all about you. You have given everything that you have achieved to make sure that other people behind you can achieve even more than what you have. And so that's what I'm always I'm following you, making sure I'm what she's doing. I'm going to go Google it and see what they're doing. That's my life. But listen, I think, and it's funny because when I asked you just now, how are you doing? You just went into everything else about what you're doing and all that stuff. And that's why I want people to really understand, because I don't think people got it. But I'm going to go back to Barkue the person. So let's go back. I want to go back memory lane. So I reading about you, I realized that you left Liberia in 1980. And you guys and your family transitioned to the States. That's right. So how was that?
Oh, so you know what's so funny? I'm going to go back a little bit and then answer your question. You're so right. As boss ladies, and just normally when people say, how are you doing? We automatically go into how they're doing, how you never talk about us. I'm personally tired, but I'm 100% motivated by the things that I have. I'm that's my high right now. So it keeps me motivated, but I'm actually tired. I'm looking forward to next week when I can actually get a massage or just really spend time with my kids, because this week is hectic. So other than that, I'm doing great because I know I'm very blessed, but physically I'm just I need a massage. So I got to get better at doing that. You're 100% right. I went into everything else, but going to America in 1980, there's something about parenting that I've learned, because back then, obviously, they didn't know nothing about no parenting. One of the things that parents, I think, try to do as much as they possibly can, especially for people like us who had to leave home abruptly, with no plans, and basically wasn't coming back and left with maybe a suitcase. I have to applaud my parents for trying to make it feel normal as they possibly could. So at first we were living in a hotel. It was like a gang of us. Like we were, I don't want to, offend anybody's race, but we were like, that stays in like a ton of us in one place. But it was fun. I was with my cousins and stuff. And then, then you start to realize, okay, well, this is going to be like home for a while. And eventually we found our footing and got settled in New York City. I grew up in Manhattan, actually. I grew up on 65th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue. So, I went to United Nations International School. I didn't do bad. My parents, family, my aunt Shad, my uncle Yaku. I had lots of parents, my dad. So where we were. So it was crazy, but I think, what parents do is try to create, at least for their children, as much as they can, some semblance of normalcy, so you don't get to see the stress. I saw the stress more when we were in Liberia before we left. Once we got there, I didn't really feel anything, although it was different. What was I think more difficult was getting adjusted to a new school, because at age, you're like what, in like 4th grade, you're trying to figure it out. So that was the thing for me, because we just left abruptly because, everybody had to leave.
Basically. And so you guys leave Liberia, you go to the US, you guys settle in New York City, one of the biggest cities in the world. You're coming from little bitty Liberia, and now you're in the city. So how was that for a little Liberian girl with all those skyscrapers?
So we had traveled before. However, listen, I think I've, when I was small, they used to always say to me, I'm frisky, Baoku frisky, not frisky, I was always outgoing. I was one who would, I used to tell my uncle, my mom would tell me that I would tell my Uncle so-and-so, I won't call him Nemo here because he's one of my favorite uncles. Uncle so-and-so, you could be bringing your whole bunch of jewels there, Ryan. I was just... So I realized that, frisky really meant boss, and, I don't think I was afraid. I think I was unapologetic. I see people today that tell me, older people today that tell me, the flower girl at my wedding, at one point I had to ask my mom, were you fees? Because that was the flower. Apparently I was cute and had a big mouth and, just was not afraid to walk down the aisle. And I think I've just always been that person to just sort of assert myself and just sort of go with the flow, do what I want to do and not feel like there's a space that I don't belong in. But I wasn't raised to think that I didn't belong anywhere. So I think getting adjusted, the skyscrapers weren't that big of a deal because we lived in a skyscraper. We lived in a very tall building. We lived in a high rise. So it was, it wasn't crazy. I think what was crazier is watching my parents because they had to adjust, more so than us. They had to adjust while making it feel like it's normal for us. So there are times where you think about it, you reflect, you're like, okay, everybody was on edge or, whatever. People, everybody seemed a little bit displaced until they weren't, until it became like, this is where we're going to be. And then for a while, my mother actually came back to Liberia. And then I'm like, okay, well, what you doing? But so she would come back and forth. And, my parents weren't married. So I didn't live with my dad. I was with my mom, her sister, uncle. That's why I said I have I have many parents that are responsible for the woman that I am today.
Amazing. And that's what it said. It takes a village to raise a child, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But so, so matriculating into the US school, you guys, you went to school and all that stuff, because I know what I experienced when I came over here in high school. But was there any prejudice or any place where you had to fit in? They call us those names, African booty scratcher. Did you experience any one of that?
Here's the thing. So again, the weird thing about that, I heard the term African booty scratcher to United Nations International School. Everybody was there from a different country. So yes, everybody was from a different country, and not just because my, people were they from their countries. They were only in America because they either worked at the UN or, but their culture was ingrained in them, even the kids. Like, so if you even went to, like, if I went to a friend of mine who were Japanese, you felt like you were in Japan because how they ate at the dinner table was very much how their culture. I had my friend from Turkey, so I didn't have that typical. However, we did have some Black Americans. That's where the prejudice came in, and but it was more so because I was like a student, and those people are actually my greatest friends today. but but it's like I was a new student, so I didn't deal with that as much until really I went to high school. So when I left the UN school, I went to boarding school in Princeton, New Jersey, the Hunt School in Princeton, New Jersey. And there were only 3 Black people. But even there, I was actually, I was, I think I talk about it sometimes, if something say like, you don't even know, sometimes you don't know in America, you didn't know you were Black until you knew you were Black. You just knew you were African. And then, so when you start the only, like there's 2 to 3 Black people, then you're like,
I am Black.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I understand. I see why they're looking at me funny. Oh, because I'm Black.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're right. Like, why am I able to just coexist with these people? Just because, coming from Liberia, even with the war, Edwin, like when we got to when we got to America, or regardless of when you went to America, you never went to America thinking you didn't belong in a space. Like, it was like, okay.
Fine. Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like white, Black, pink, purple, green. Okay, like, okay, I want to be like. It's like when they start asking you like your race on an application, you like, what difference does that make?
And I think a lot of, because I hung around a lot of Nigerians, and I think that's some of the issue that we had, because we were like, okay, what's the big deal? What's the problem? They're like, oh no, you're Black, or you're African American, or you were non-Black or Hispanic. I'm like, what? Like, right. What is that going to do?
Exactly.
But that also, I think coming from Liberia, other West African countries may have this thing on us. Well, it's easy for us to transition into the mix. I don't know what it is, but I think it's like me and most of my West African friends, we just like, just jump in and life just went on. It's like, this is what it's supposed to be, so this is it.
Absolutely.
But you leave Princeton and then you get into Elon University college. You go to Elon. So I want to ask you, so how was college life? Because we see you now, we just want to know, how was college life?
I love college. College life was fun. Listen, I don't gonna lie to nobody. In college, I was not no A student. I was the girl who went to college because I knew I had to. I didn't know what other direction I was supposed to go to. Plus, I still needed my parents to support me. And, I wanted the good time and the education. So, I sort of balanced the two, and that's as balanced as my grades got to. My first semester when I didn't really know anybody, actually was on the dean's list, and that was the last time it was there. But I think I've always been the person who understand the value of education, like academics, also understand the value of life, and so life experiences. So for me, I like to couple those two, and I think they're both extremely valuable. So college for me was great. College was when I actually became a Black person.
There you had those braids
in America. That was so funny. I actually think I've never said that, but I think as I think about it, that is actually where I became a Black person. Because college, I went to school in North Carolina. It was so segregated. Yet again, I had white friends, but I really connected more with the Black people. They lived in specific dorms, and I enjoyed those parties better than the other parties. My friends were there. Kappa sweetheart. I pledged AKA. Long story. I'm giving you all types of insights right now.
Yeah,
I'm not going to give you the details, but I'm going to give you some of that. I'm not going to give you details because I'm saving that for another thing, but I'll just give you some of those little hints. Still great friends with my line sisters. Other stories apart that, but you'll read it in the book the day whenever it comes out. But so I literally enjoyed I loved my college life. College was so much fun. The people I was in the gospel choir. I loved the trips we used to take. College was a very important part to my development process. It really actually showed me what the real world was, because I really was Black in college. and had to identify, and not only had to, but did identify more with, the Blacks on campus because I could relate to them more, especially being in North Carolina. It really was segregated.
And I like you say that because for me, it was the opposite. So I came to college and I didn't want to go to a HBC because I said, oh, my life I ran around Black people. Can I go somewhere where there's some integration, there's some other race? So when I tell people I went to UNBC, they're like, you went to Baltimore City? I said, no, but I went to a school that had more Asians than any other race. And so there was, Asians were the majority and Nigerians. Yeah, so there were Asians, Nigerians, and people from Jordan. That's where I knew about Jordan, the country Jordan. And that's a conversation for another day because those kids paid their tuition freshman year for the entire 4 years.
I know that's right.
Man, I'd be like, what? I got
big balling shot college.
Yeah, so it was a whole different experience for me, just the culture and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted us to do this groundwork because I wanted people to know where you're from, how you're doing, let them really understand who you are. Then we'll go into the big stuff. So I'm going to give you a story, right? I will tell you this story. So I was in grad school. I had a friend who was, she was getting her master's in communication, and she runs to my dorm room, about to break my door. I'm like, girl, what's going on? She said, you know what? I just read this article. There's this article on BBC about this girl called Barkue Tubman, and she's talking about, I'm like, okay, can I read the article that you're talking about? So this is an article. I wrote it down. This is an article that was posted on BBC website on October 3rd, 2011. And it was called, the title of the article was African Dream Liberian Barkue Tubman. Yeah. Okay. That's the first time I heard about you.
Really?
She was so amazed about this girl from West Africa who's talking about going back to Liberia, but I think you've been because Madam Salif already became press. Like, it was an amazing article. And I was like, okay, who is this? So of course, we start to research and everything. And then I find out about this big, you were also like an executive in the music industry. Then I was like, okay, hold up. We need to talk about this. We need to really, really research this person because we need to know who this person is. So now this is where I'm going to go. So let's talk about that gig or that tenure. Let me not say gig, the tenure. You're in the music industry. How did you land that opportunity?
Oh my God. So the music industry is one of the greatest parts of my journey ever. Like, I loved being in the music industry. It really allowed me to put all of my fears aside, step in rooms with some seriously powerful people that really shape our culture. And, you just walking through doors and it's back then, especially male-dominated industry. And I was able to basically make shit happen. I worked with Violator, with the late, great Chris Lighty and the phenomenal Mona Scott Young, who is now the creator and the executive producer of Love and Hip Hop, amongst many other things. I was actually the first person to write like a business plan and strategy for Family Tree Entertainment. I was president of Family Tree, one of his founding members.
And she's on my show, people.
Where we manage Outkast and who else did we have? Macy Gray and Blue Cantrell, and from there, I also had I started my own company, Miss Boss Lady Entertainment, and I managed Donnell Jones, Next, Grammy producer Robert, DJ Twin, had fashion stylists, songwriters, and I just had some great opportunities. I worked with Brooke Payne, who is 617 Management, who managed New Edition. That's where I actually worked with Usher. I was handling Usher's day-to-day. Who else? That's where I met Bobby and Whitney. Got to work on the New Edition reunion project. God, I feel like Lisa. I wish Lisa and my friend was on here so they can help remind me of all the things that I did. Quadri Elamine, Southpaw Entertainment, Boys to Men, Janet Jackson. So I actually worked with probably all those prominent Black-owned management companies, and then I had my own. I had a production company with TBT Records. That was a record that Little John and Yin Yang Twins were on as well. Okay. And I had an artist Osolo that was signed to them as well. And so my path to getting into the entertainment industry was, oh God, I used to want to be a rapper.
Hey! You know I bought all those CDs.
Well, here's the funny. They used to have these parties in like Staten Island. So I didn't, that's when I would hang out. I would have time to go to Liberia, hang out with like my Liberian crew. I would actually perform at those parties. So there might be some people like, the late Carlton Carr, God rest his soul, and Bien Kessley and Iva Tukba and the late Jeremiah. So it's been a crazy 2020. We lost some amazing people, but Too Black, Too Strong. They had these parties. Rich Lou Dennis. They all used to play like in these basketball tournaments, and I would perform at those parties. And I actually did a remix back in Jiba for their "Keep on Trying" song. I actually performed that with them.
You see, I thought I was gonna take you back memory lane.
You really did.
I told you.
I swear, as I'm regurgitating, I'm like, oh shit, I really did that. Oh damn. Oh, okay. And so, I wanted to be in front of the camera, but I also then recognized that there's a business, there's a business aspect of how people make this thing happen. It's not just artists that just get just sit with the camera. There's a machine that's working around them to help make them successful. So I really started to spend time wanting to understand what that was. And it led me to where I started to get into management more because I wanted to understand business. I also think it was my father's. I don't think he wanted me to be a rapper. And I think his prayers were a little bit stronger than mine. So, fast forward, I end up, having a very successful career in the entertainment industry, with artists winning many awards, producing some major national tours. We were on tour with Destiny's Child, Alicia Keys, all types of stuff. So, I mean, it's that's how I got there, but it started out because I wanted into the industry. My brother-in-law, Eddie Brown, was working at Motown, and I was like, I want to get into this. This is a space I want to get into. And he was like, only thing I know is our travel agent is looking to hire somebody. I said, I want the job, because that travel agent basically mostly handled entertainment clients. So Motown, at that time, Latifah, Santa Motown, Gerald Busby, there was Motown Cafe. And they used to handle like some other record labels and other clients. Biv 10 Records, who my mentor teacher Tate was the general manager there. And so I was like, I just want to get through the door, because I'm the type of person, like, if you open one door for me, I promise you I will get to the next, and I will get to the next, and I don't take any opportunity for granted. And I feel like everything is a path to where you want to go. You got to just be calculated. So the Traveling Taj was the agency, and I worked with them. That's how I connected with the artists and the clients. And of course, I over-delivered. This is where I built my relationship with these people who then eventually became colleagues, some of them clients, and some of them partners.
This is beautiful. But with all that you just said, just give me one person that you enjoyed working with, one artist.
Oh my God. Oh God. I can name, because I loved Outkast. Andre and Big Boy are amazing. Big Boy a little bit crazy. But I like the two together are absolutely incredible. And then, people get to become your family, because God rest her soul, unfortunately she passed. We were at the funeral. Like, they become family, like they're family. And I love Donnell Jones was great for me, because that was an opportunity to really partner with an artist to really help build, their success, their business, and their brand, and to see what he's doing now and how he's grown, because there was a lot of things that we were fighting back then to get him to do. Now he's recognized it. And so when they reach back also and be like, oh my God, we got to come see you. I want to meet my nieces and nephew. And, you know, I remember you trying to get me to do this. And next, one time I saw Next, and they actually, one of the members like could not stop crying. He was like, nobody has ever taken care of us the way you have, you know. So I you know, I like every single one of them for reasons, because they're also, you know, artist management, baby, you know, we used to call it artist management is like a glorified babysitting.
Okay.
And basically you become a parent. You know, you navigate these people's career. You basically help them make decisions that will elevate their careers. So either elevates it, or you know, or they make wrong decisions, and it's your job to fix it. So it's a, and then artists change managers like underwear. That's what we say. So when you see an artist that's with a manager for a long time, you're like, whoa, because they'll go, they come back, they go, they come back. You know, I used to always be like, we're some crazy people to deal with. Crazy, like we are purposely dealing with crazy people, because creative people, you know, we all a little bit nuts. So, you know, so basically, I mean, everybody has something that I love and some things that were just annoying as ever.
Good. So that life is great. I can imagine. I can imagine you traveling. I can imagine you walking into places that you don't, they just need to look at you and say, VIP, man. I can just imagine the life. And so, this amazing life, you moved to Liberia. That's where we're going. And you moved.
Yes. No.
But you moved to Liberia. I mean, you're just giving us the dream of a lot of young women. A lot of young women want that dream. But can you tell us what happened for you to just, I know you didn't just get up and leave, because I can tell that you're a planner. I know stuff happened, but you just moved to Liberia.
I did like crazy person, you know, gift and the curse, you know, some regrets, but really none at all, because everything happens for a reason. Liberia is a very interesting country, but it, you know, it's home. There's no place like home. So my coming to Liberia was, I started to think about it because a few years before I started to come to Liberia more, you know, being typical Barkue, my mom, you know, come to visit me in States, or, and, you know, and by the time she gets there, I'm all over the place. I'm in studios, I'm traveling, you know. One year she came, and, you know, let's say she came on a Wednesday. I jumped on it on a Thursday with Busta Rhymes to go to LA for, I think it was MTV Awards, and got a call. We were sitting in the restaurant to say your mom had a stroke and she's in the hospital, and she was in Jersey, I was in LA. So the next day, of course, you know, I couldn't stay. I jumped on the flight, went back to Jersey, and there's nothing like seeing your mother laying, you know, damn near helpless, you know, in a hospital bed. And that just really triggered my thinking into, as much as I love this industry, and you know, I joke with, you know, colleagues who were in the music industry back then, especially, you know, it was like almost like, you know, you die. Sleep is a cousin of death. Like, you know, it's like almost like you should train yourself. You know, self-care was not talked about back then a lot. It was just, you know, it was go. Like, who can go the longest? Like, there's 24 hours in a day. Who's going to work 22 hours? Like, you know, oh, you slept, you know, so you realize that you're just giving so much of yourself to this industry, which was great. It was fulfilling. But takes so much for you. And then I started to think, you know, I need to really start to reorganize and see how I can start thinking about spending more time in Liberia, because my mother's getting older. I mean, shoot, she just had a stroke. Thank God she's perfectly fine. It was a mild stroke, although, you know, she still uses it today. Your own money.
Me advice. Well, thought that was okay.
We still be dealing with sickness that happened 25 years ago. Oh, you got my. I'm like,
my
there's nothing wrong with you. Stop. You know, and then, you know, fast forward like a couple of years after that, the music industry also started to change, and but I also saw new things happening in Liberia. You know, the interim president was there now. And I was like, let me go and see, you know, what's happening. And it's so funny because at that very time, I had an opportunity. I just had an interview with Matthew Knowles, who was looking for somebody to come on board and, you know, and work with them at a very senior level. and I was recommended by a friend of mine, Jonna, and I had the interview. The interview went well, and I said, you know what? Okay, God, if I'm supposed to stay in Liberia, stay in America, I'm gonna get the right deal for this, and then I'll stay. If not, then I'm gonna go to Liberia and see. So I talked to all of my clients and said, listen, I think I'm gonna be heading to Liberia. You know, I can, the air was on then, it wasn't that great, but of course, it's not even like it was now. If I was doing that, if I was doing that now, I would still very much be actively in the industry, in that way. Because now communication allows you to do a lot more, no matter where you are in the world. And so, I didn't get the deal that I really wanted from Matthew at that time. And but I also think my heart was going to Liberia. So, could I probably have negotiated? Probably, but I don't call me to go Liberia.
Yeah, Liberia.
And Liberia. So I came to this piece of rotten country. And I would go back and forth a lot first, and then because I was trying to figure it out. I hadn't lived in Liberia in so long. I didn't really, it wasn't the Liberia that I remember growing up. But there was just this new sense of hope. Madame Sirleaf had just been elected. It was right before the inauguration. One of my best friends were getting married, so we were doing the whole wedding. It was, it was like a party. And I'm like, okay, it's great. Everybody's partying. It's wonderful. What happens when it's like regular, like, coming to Liberia for Christmas is wonderful.
It's totally different.
It's not the real world. So, I said, then I back and I wanted to come back. Like when I knew it was sort of normal, I came back, during like an off time. It wasn't like high season for travelers, just sort of navigating and seeing what would happen. I just loved it just was like a blank canvas to me. It was just, I was like, there's nothing. And there's nothing stopping me from painting this canvas any color I want to paint, or paint whatever I want. So I'm like, this is like a blank canvas. The opportunities are huge. So I was like, we're going to give this thing a shot. So came back and just started really just figuring it out, navigating the space, came back wanting to do more in entertainment, but entertainment, people were trying to survive. Entertainment, although it was not, the industry was very, very low level at the time, and as usual, entertainment is passion driven, and as much as it soothes your soul, sometimes the artists don't necessarily know what they want, and then the artists also, they don't like to listen. So, I'm coming from, working with artists, at one level and trying to really help to develop it here, but people were not really in tune with it or even to really receive what I felt like I was trying to give. So I sort of gave in different, I didn't stop, but I gave in different ways. I did, I produced, I did Akon, I had Chantel. I've done quite a few concerts, here as well. And then just really started to say, how else can I diversify and how else can I grow? I'm really just in Liberia. I have to look at it and see what Africa has going on. So I just spend my time basically taking the skill set that I had and putting it on the ground in Liberia. And one of the things that I used to do, because I had nothing to do really, I would go to when a country is going through development, there are a lot of organizations, international organizations that are here doing workshops, trainings, assessment, feasibility. And so they basically would, invite people to come and sit and have conversations, from government officials to people in civil society. And I was like, okay, I'll go and listen. But when I went, one of the things I recognized was they spent so much time on the logistics of the event as opposed to the substance of why they were there. I was like, well, I can produce this event. I can put this event on. Like, I can organize a workshop where people can actually focus on the meat of why they're here, because I planned a tour. I can put 1 + 1 and +1 + 1 + 1. I can make it happen. So basically, that's how I started to really transition over into proper event planning in Liberia. And then, the rest is her story, as they say. Did Miss Liberia, did the International Women's Colloquium, did the high level panel. I'm not a huge fan of, I don't really like to do weddings. But if Beyonce called, I would certainly help her and Jay renew their vows.
I agree. So, I agree.
And then really got interested in tourism because from a marketing and branding perspective, I really feel like tourism is not as explored as it should be for a country like Liberia, because we have more than most countries in Africa, as small as we are. Plus tourism, being an industry, the tourism industry of industry, and the informal sector can really benefit, and tourism does not need high skilled workers. So it's such a great poverty reduction strategy. So I got really into tourism and did a lot of stuff with that. I basically led the tourism trade strategy. Madam Sirleaf had a tourism off, like a what was it called? I just went blank. But she created like a secretariat basically to sort of assess where tourism was. And I was a part of that team, as well. And so today you can go on the Ministry of Commerce website and see the tourism trade strategy that we worked with the International Trade Center. And so I also just realized at some point, I may have climaxed in Liberia, because I'm not trying to do construction. I'm not really looking to be in government. And I need to be able to really look at West African region as a country, the ECOWAS region as a country. And so I started to just expand and, less to have clients where we do business and stuff in Ghana and Nigeria. I still have clients in the US, Essence, Shea Moisture. I've done a lot of stuff with even Mona and some of the other people I have relationships with there. But the cool thing about being in Liberia, really awesome, Edwin, is I was in America. I was in the music industry. We used to go to BET. I take my artists to BET, but I never met Bob Johnson, the owner and founder of BET. Come to Liberia. Come to Liberia. They become a client of mine, right?
Telling yes. That is one of the beauty of Liberia. I totally agree. Yeah. I totally agree with you. But so marketing, branding, I think you've done it all. And you guys have taken, I think, for us who did grow up in Liberia, there are things that we had, we had some great things. But you guys have brought a level of entertainment to Liberia that I don't think people understand what it is. And so I just want to talk about my favorite place that I love to go to when I'm in Liberia. It's called the Capitol Room. Oh. And if you're in Liberia, you should go to the Capitol Room, because you will experience a lounge like you're in the States or you're in Europe. And for me, that's what I like to tell people. Because for me, it's that you guys gave me a vibe that I'm like, oh, this is what life is supposed to be. And if you got your money, you can walk in and have a good time. And I think that is for me, when I go to other businesses in Liberia, I think for me, that is the thing that I like is, you got your money, you can have a good time. We're here to give you a good time. And you guys give people a good time, and we get our money's worth. And so I want to appreciate you for everything you've done in Liberia and you continue to do. And I'm going to move over to another segment, because
before you move on really quickly, so the Capitol Room is not open anymore in its original form. So the Capitol Room now is an event rental space. So you can now rent it as an event space.
I don't want to rent it. I want to go to the bar and sit down and talk to the children at the bar and have my drink. That's what I do. I'm the weird person who loves to talk to bartenders.
It's not only you, but so now there's some other really cool places in Liberia. Doesn't have the view.
I ain't going there.
You were cool. You got Savvy. Where else is there? Oh God, just to show you, I don't even get to go anymore. But this is by Era Supermarket.
Who can say right? Exactly. We don't want that.
No, but I can't support our Liberian businesses. Oh, yeah, with people. No, but the Capitol Room, that view is equal. So, but the cool thing is now you can actually do a real, you can do an event there, and still get the great pictures and stuff. So, it just with the economy, and as we looked at, just really downsizing in Liberia, but really focusing on like our core businesses. That is where we are. And sometimes doing that type of business. And, a lot of the city has actually moved from Mamba Point towards.
That's what I heard. So, but it's great. But this is what I'm going to do to you. I'm going to talk about that man and those 3 other people that you have in your life. Because I think you'll be on these platforms and you don't be talking about that man. So we're going to talk about Carter. So
yes, talk about him.
I'm going to talk about him. We need to find out. So tell me, how did that happen? Because what I have noticed is women like you who are extremely opinionated, who are extremely outspoken, who got the stuff together and get going, they're kind of a little bit intimidating for guys. But I see him and I'm like, no, she got the good one. That's it right there. There you go. So let's talk about that. How did that connection happen?
So
it's by
the way, I know, right? By the way, Capital Room is actually Carton. Peace Cafe was my baby.
Yeah.
But of course we support each other. So I met Carton through Musa Shannon. That's how I met Carton. And the crazy thing is, Carton actually also worked in the entertainment industry in the US. So we happened to know he worked for Cash Money, and he had his marketing promotion company called Palava Hut, and they did a lot of work. In fact, they worked with Destiny Child, like they worked with a lot of people. He was in Houston, and so we know we know mutual people in the industry, but I've never met him. Come to Liberia, Musa says, "Oh my God, Barkue, I have a friend. You weren't here when he came. He traveled, but you got to meet this guy because he said, I know you. They bought, if Musa Shannon, you're the boy. No, it was really more. You and this boy would be friends. Like he just thought that y'all would connect because you guys are into the same thing, whatever. And so next time Carton comes to Liberia, I was here, and so Musa had like a group of friends over, just like the host Carton, and obviously invited me because he was like, you got to meet this guy. And can I tell you, it honestly, instantly we clicked as friends. Like instant, like it was so funny. I used to call him my Skype friend because that time I was on Skype. We would Skype like 5 times like we would Skype, like it would be non-stop Skyping. And I used to call him my Skype friend. My other drink finished, but there's a limitation to mine because I got to lose weight for being on the Summit camera. So
okay, good.
So that's how I met him. I met him here. I met him with
no. This
time we met.
Okay. Great. And so you guys meet. Life happened, and you proposed to.
So can I tell you guys? I'll tell you.
Yes, we need to know. Right? Trust me. There's a person here. There's a person called Asatu Shannon over here talking about, a Shannon against the boss lady's life.
You see, Asatu. I can't see the comments. So if you guys are commenting, I can't see it. But yeah, so yeah, Shannon's, I love this Shannon's. Asatu's one of my favorite Shannon's.
That's my favorite.
She's one of my favorite Shannon's. Yes. So the funny thing with Carton is Carton and I are both like we're entrepreneurs to the core. I think what attracted us to each other is just because we knew together be explosive. I think we're attracted more to each other in terms of the fact that we could do explosive things in business. But we were physically attracted to each other. Just knew like, okay, long term, we can make some shit happen. And then we just have very similar goals. We just always, our goals are just always, and even when we don't agree on the direction and how we're going to get there, the goal is actually the same, and I think that's what keeps it together. And again, like I said, we talked on Skype like 5 times a day. He is really my friend. Like that is amazing. My homie. So that's what it sucks when we don't speak for a couple of days because then so much goes by. But we're married. You just don't like him for a few days and stuff. It is what it is. So so he proposes. So he might disagree, but I don't think I was the person who really pushed the proposal. But once I got proposed to, I was like, okay, now I want to get married.
Yeah,
but I don't think I pushed the proposal. However, so I'll actually tell you how the proposal happened, and you guys are gonna probably say I'm horrible, and I'll accept it, and that's your business. I don't really care. So we were living, we were living in our house, and I had built this small apartment in my mom's house, and so Carton was like, okay, it was like a studio, really cute. Available for rent because I'm not there anymore. It's really cute. But so we moved from there. We moved to Dubois Road. And first of all, Dubois Road was really far, but it was a much bigger house in his parents' compound. 2 bedrooms, bathrooms. We fixed it up. He did a great job. That's his thing. Even our house now, it's like this house we live in now in Liberia is Carton's work of art. So, but I used to complain all the time. I'm like, there is no mirror here. How can I get dressed and there's no mirror? Like when I say every day that mirror story I was so annoyed. I'm like, listen, I was like, and let me tell you something. Since you don't want to find me a mirror, I was like, when you were in my apartment, we had a mirror. You were gonna find me a mirror in this house. It was every day, like annoyingly. And I wouldn't nag. I would just make it was just a comment every day. And it was so funny. I used to be like, I'm gonna find me a mobile mirror. I'll put it up when I finish using it. I'll pack it and use it. So since a mirror is important, what you call it. So this way, June 23rd, I'm laying in bed and, he said, come outside. And I come outside and there's a mirror and we actually still have the mirror. It's a full length mirror. And he wrote, if you see yourself being married to me, because there's a mirror, see yourself. Said PTO. And so Liberia, please turn over. So I turned the back and then there was the ring. There was the box with the ring and here's where it gets tricky. The mirror, the production of it all, amazing. Turning over and him not seeing him on his knees. He was laying in the bed watching it. Like he was laying. I was like, so I was like, wow. He went too fast. I said, well, you bought me a gift because the question was, if I see myself, of course I see myself being married to you. Thank you for my ring. He was too annoyed. So I have friends. Whenever I tell my friends this story, they're like, "Baku, you are absolutely horrible." They're like, "The man threw."
I am mad. I'm like sweating. I am mad.
You mad at me or you mad at him?
Yeah, mad at you. You messed up the entire production.
No. I should have turned around in the mirror and he should have been on his knees. So that I tell him all the time. So whenever we watch a movie or we talk to friends who are getting engaged or whatever, or watching the person gets down and they say, "Will you marry me?" I'm like, "Oh, look at that. He asked her. She got a chance to answer."
You are horrible.
But to know, first of all, you talk about me opinionated. Trust me, don't mind Carton. He got opinions for days. Good. Like he is not a pushover. He's just a lot gentler than I am. But he is so much fun. Gone are the days where we talk about it all the time. Gone are the days where we just used to get up and go and travel all the time because now we got PSKs. So that's my proposal story. So I'm asking you guys to advocate on my behalf for me to get a real proposal.
I agree.
For our 10th anniversary, so he can get on his knees. Because my husband let the bluff. He want that.
Yeah, the man want
that. So
yeah, man.
So I feel like he owes me a "Will you marry me?" And by then I'll probably be really skinny and my hair be longer. And I'll tell him I'll think about it.
And I'll walk away. You know what? I ain't messing with you. I ain't messing with you on that. But I think this is a great segment for us to go into. We're almost done. But I want you to tell me your experience when the doctor told you that you were pregnant with triplets.
Child, listen. So, first of all, the doctor, I'm laying on the thing, and the doctor says, first of all, I'm giving you all the G's, I'm giving you too much. Like,
yes, I told you.
I'm not talking about it after 11 ever again. We actually thought we found out we were pregnant, and then we actually thought we lost the baby.
Oh, wow.
So we were doing you do blood tests. They tell you to do blood tests. And sometimes, my doctor was saying, just don't do blood tests. They like for you to come like 6 weeks. Then they check everything and just make sure everything's going okay. But of course, Miss Anxious, checking all the blood and, doing all of that stuff. The numbers were going down. BHP, I don't even remember what it's called no more. But the number was going down and it was supposed to be going up when you're pregnant. So, we went through the whole mental, emotional, spiritual, process of it all, acceptance that, you know what, well, maybe, because 9 times out of 10, normally when this happens, people lose, there's a miscarriage, you lose the baby.
Yeah.
So when I lay on the doctor's table thinking that, he was like, go to the lab too, look, this thing says, the number looks strange to him. He was like, get on the table. So I get on the table and he does the ultrasound and I can show, I have the first one, it's in a frame. When we first heard, like the heartbeat, and I was like, real heartbeat? And so he was like, yeah. I was like, oh my, so but then his face changes and he was like, but then you have no, I see him writing trip 1, trip 2, trip 3. And I'm just like, okay, I hear a heartbeat. So clearly there's something there. But then he's like, but you have a real problem. And I was like, I knew it. He was like, you're having 3. I said,
my Lord.
Yeah, first of all, I couldn't. The doctors didn't. I was like, oh, that's exactly what I said. I said, oh, the doctors, the nurses, they started dying laughing. I was like, the doctor was amazing. He was like, you're gonna be staying in those 5-star hotels anymore. He was like, I was like, oh my God. So I'm just, and like at this point now, like, you're overjoyed and overwhelmed, like, all at the same time. And you're just like, oh my God. And so I call Carton and I was like, he actually was at the cafe and I was like, go sit in your car. And so he went to sit in his car and I said, so we are pregnant and the baby is fine. I said, but there is an issue. He said, what? I said, we're not having one baby. He was like, oh, we having twins? I was like, nope. He said, he's like, what are we having? I said, we're having 3. And we both just bust out laughing. It was like a joke. It was
hilarious. Are you kidding me? We're looking for 1, now we got 3.
And let me tell you, for people that have seen Tina Turner, What's Love Got to Do with It? At some point, like, I used to be like, what 3 more kids? Meanwhile, I have no other kids. It's like, what am I doing with 3 more? What am I doing? Because I always knew, like, Barkue on the go. Like, I have to travel for work. I'm a workaholic. I love what I love to work. Like, I like to go. I just always knew I'm gonna have my baby, put him in the backpack. We just, we'll keep it moving. 3. What was I going to do with 3? But I went through, like, it took me a while to get to the point to accept that I was having 3 and then really be able to celebrate God's amazing blessing on my life. So that was a whole process, but that was my journey to.
And that's amazing because for us guys who have had the opportunity to be with a woman and then she do get pregnant and she give birth, for me, I tell my friends, I say, that is the moment I knew how wonderful God is.
Yes.
Because when you're with a woman, you see her body change trimester by trimester. You see everything about her change when she's carrying that child, and you are carrying 3. So everything about even your mental, psychic, everything changed. But God, at the end of the day, He works it out for your good. Yes, because at the end of the day, when you're like, I just have 1, and the doctors literally had to open the window for me to put my head outside because I almost passed out. And the doctor was like, aren't you? I'm like, yeah, that's me, sir. This is not for me.
Right.
It's like, I think it's like if you didn't know that God, if no one knew that God is real from that entire, I'm like, they got to be
I get to see those little miracles every day, because I honestly do believe that's what's happening, and I do believe that God is the reason, and they were miracles, and that's why they're still here. I honestly 100% believe that, and so every day I look at them, I am reminded constantly of the man behind the miracle.
Yes,
I am just absolutely amazed, and I cannot believe it that I'm even somebody's mother.
But you 3 people, mom.
3 people's mama. 3 people's mama.
And it's funny because you watch him. I just have 1, but my sister got 3 kids, and I see the 3 different personalities. And I'm like, okay, I just got 1, and he got 25. Like,
that's what it feels like. Yes. But now, so the cool thing is now that they're 4, is, you know, you're getting, you know, because I hear when they're 5, it's even it gets, that's when it really starts to get a lot easier. But you know, now that they're 4, you know, I know people that want more kids, and I'm like, I don't need to have any more kids. Like, this is, I'm good. You know, I'm 100% good. But I think God also knew that, because I never ever want to be pregnant. Like, I would never want to be pregnant, like, ever. Like, pregnancy. And by the way, I did not have a bad pregnancy. I was not on bed rest.
With
Even people
3,
didn't understand. I was never on bed rest at all.
Wow.
The only time that I had to sit down was after my shower. They had a shower for me in Baltimore, January 29th, and the day was when all my feet started swelling, and then I had the kids in March. But I was still walking. You know, I would, you know, me and my sister would go to Target. She would crack up because I would actually sit. I'd be like, let me get the like, you know, the wheel thing. In fact, the other day she sent me the video of what that is, but I didn't have a bad pregnancy. The only reason I didn't like pregnancy is because it really, you know, it slows you down. You have to treat your body well to make sure you take care of your baby. And so I didn't have crazy cravings. I did when I was still in Liberia before I left to go to the States. Like, I wanted grape Fanta. You know, that was my thing. I wanted grape Fanta. Like, it was so weird. I got to America, I wanted McDonald's. I don't even eat McDonald's. I want to make, but every time they bring the McDonald's in, I'll be like, I'm not hungry anymore. It was,
oh wow,
yeah, it was crazy. So pregnancy, but today, you know, ladies that are on here, let me tell you about pregnancy. What they don't tell you, as beautiful as those babies are, when you get them and you forget everything you've gone through, you do go through quite a bit to get there. For the most women, and every pregnancy is different, you know, but everybody has their own story. Sometimes people, your first child is easy breezy, no problem. Your second child is like, takes everything out of you. You swell up. I ended up towards the end, had carpal tunnel, so I used to have to wear like the braces. I was sleeping. I used to have a rocking chair in our apartment in my bedroom. I still have it in my house right now. And I would sleeping up because I couldn't like lay down. I would just literally stay in the rocking chair and just sleep right there. You just go through. Your body goes through quite a bit. It's a bit much, and I think, you know, postpartum, I think, is real. Postpartum, I think, is something. Yeah. And I think men go through postpartum too, by the way.
Definitely.
Women that are listening. And I think everybody through postpartum, just varying degrees. So I think that's what, you know, people have to recognize. And of course, being Barkue, trying to navigate, you know, 3 babies, I was trying to figure out how to be relevant in my workspace, and, you know, not accepting that, you know, you can't even get on a call, bitch. Like, sit down somewhere.
Sit down.
Go be mama, you know. So yeah. I went through a lot of transition. I think I'm honestly, Edwin, I think I'm just getting back to Barkue right now. Wow. You know, I'm just getting back to officially getting things back on track.
Wow. But you know, you're an amazing person. You have taken us on a journey with your entire life for 1 hour, but I have one more question for you.
Go right ahead.
What has been the biggest misconception you have heard about Barkue?
Woo! Wow. Gosh, that's a really good question. I just think there's so many, and I think people just don't know me. And I think what I think people don't realize, a couple of things. I think people don't realize that I'm so accessible, and they assume things about me without really getting to know me. So I think they think maybe I'm, I think I'm too good. But here's the thing: I know I'm extremely good, but I'm not better than anybody. And you know, that's why, if you notice my platform, you talk like I provide opportunities for so many people. So many people in Liberia can tell you about opportunities I've done. People in America can tell you. That's just who I am. I'm very accessible. And I don't think I'm better than anybody. I think the misconception, probably that's one of the misconceptions. I think that's probably the biggest misconception, you know, about me, is people assume. But when I say people, I have to say Liberian, not American. You know, I think it's different.
I understand.
Yeah, I don't think it's Americans. It's Liberia, because I collaborate very well with Americans. I think my work ethics. When I say Americans, I mean people, you know, outside of Liberia. I shouldn't just call them, you know. But I'm just a workaholic, so you know, I'm not really good at partnering in terms of business, because my brand is. I worked really hard for it. I'm learning to partner with people, but I've tried. It just always hasn't worked. You know, I want to. It always hasn't worked. But I think the biggest misconception would probably be what people assume that I am without really just even taking the time to get to know me. And honestly, it's not that difficult to get to know me. I'm so easy to access. I'm on Facebook. Don't DM me because, I mean, don't send me private messages on Facebook because I just really don't check messengers anymore. And the truth is, off Facebook a lot because I feel like Liberian Facebook can be very toxic. So,
Extremely toxic.
so I'm not really interested as much. You know, I go on to celebrate people, and you know, there's some people who I think are hilarious to follow on Facebook because their jokes are so funny. And but you know, Instagram, DM me, and but just don't say just hide. Say something, you know, of substance, and I will seriously have a conversation with you. I'm not that difficult to find, and I really am very collective.
And you say that, and so from the conversation to the conversation, boss lady, we want to let you know that you are extremely accessible because we have no problem. We were able to reach out to you. We got you, we booked you, and we have made this happen. And it has been an amazing show. There's been an amazing time with you. I appreciate you. We say thank you for everything that you do. You continue to do in Liberia. You have exposed our Liberian girls to things that some of us couldn't even imagine that was possible. You have given so much of yourself to Liberia. So we want to say thank you. It was great having you. And there's just one thing you want to say to the ladies out there because they're watching and they're sending their comments in, just let them have it. Just one thing, and then we're done.
You know, honestly, like I came to Liberia and I actually did the very first reality show. I did the Miss Liberia reality TV show when there wasn't a lot here. And I think that, you know, I want to say to Liberian girls who, by the way, I think now are incredible. There are so many of them that are dope ass entrepreneurs. Their dreams, they're starting to dream. You know, they're starting to have real dreams. And I want them to know that, you know, regardless of their present reality, their dreams should continue to drive them, and they should continue to find ways to understand that they are and that they are a legacy. And so that's what I want them to know because I love me a dope ass Liberian boss lady.
And this was the conversation, outspoken and opinionated with the boss lady, Barkue Tubman Zawolo. And I want to say good night, everybody. Have a great time. And Barkue, you were dope.